Hello, everybody. This is Jeremy Enfinger from Topics in Radiography, and I'm trying something new today. That is Periscope, obviously. Hopefully, this went out on my Twitter feed as well. So, if you would like to follow along and feel free to ask me questions anytime, please feel free to. So, for the first one, I just wanted to make this really casual, kind of informal. Hey, Sean, how's it going? Um, just really wanted to let you know kind of the direction that Topics in Radiography is going to be going with the website and some things that are going to be coming up fairly soon. You may have noticed if you've been following, I recently launched my first online course, which is called Write the Perfect Resume for Healthcare Careers. The reason I did that was because in my current position, I see hundreds of resumes every week. I find a lot of mistakes and a lot of, just kind of bad stuff that are coming from, fairly educated people that really kind of hurt their chances at getting jobs. And I kind of think that, those who spend so much time in school to get the right qualifications and even have, years of experience deserve to at least be represented really well on their resume. That's kind of like your chance to make a first impression. So that's the reason for that course primarily. There's a lot more information. I don't want to spam you over this broadcast with that info, but a couple other things, reasons why I made that course was I was looking for an online platform to host continuing education courses as well. That's kind of one of those things where there's several options available now. Some are easy, some are free. Others, depending on the host you use, could take a little chunk of your profits if you decide to do that. But ultimately, I'm going to be writing some CE courses coming up soon. The two that I have in mind right now concern digital radiography, and the one that I've been really focusing on lately is a class that I'm actually going to be teaching called Forensics in Radiography, in which any technologist who works in forensics is going to be basically responsible for taking x-rays to kind of figure out the cause of death or what could have contributed to cause of death. And that's kind of a growing field. I have done a little bit of research on that myself. There's a lot of people I'd love to discuss this with that have been doing it a long time, but there's more and more information, just kind of growing out there that is a potential avenue for career involvement, even if you do it on the side or as part of a medical examiner's office. So thanks for the hearts, by the way. I see a few of those popping up. And this is my first Periscope broadcast as well. So, it's a little weird. I'm kind of learning the software. I see hearts every time I think you tap on the screen to get hearts. And I think you also can, hopefully you can hear me okay, but you can ask questions if you want, and I'll see it on my screen. So anything you guys want to ask, feel free to just pop in there and ask away, and I'll try to answer in real time. Got a few more people joining. P. Johnson, RTR, welcome. So, going back to the digital radiography, I still feel like that's kind of a well-needed thing. You still doing the podcast? I kind of put that on hold for a little bit, and the reason was I'm not getting a ton of views on it. I love podcasts. I listen to tons of them myself. I really don't think I don't know. Maybe I'm just not marketing it well. I got about 100 to 200 listeners a week, which is pretty good. But I was hoping for more feedback. I love this. This is great where, you guys come on and ask me questions. Love answering questions. I'm an educator at heart. So, that I think that personal interaction is missing from the podcast. I would love to get more people kind of commenting. I think without any ratings in iTunes or with zero comments, it's hard to know where I stand if I'm really adding value with something like that. But if that's something you guys enjoy, I'll totally just keep doing it. I still have my podcasts archived. I pay for a subscription to host a certain amount of content on iTunes every month, so I can certainly put some things in there. I actually had a recording of, I believe it was for students who were having difficulty with their clinical instructors or technologists at their sites. And Sean, thank you. You did find it informative. Well, good. Maybe I'll keep doing those. I do kind of wonder if these new apps like Periscope are really going to kind of eventually replace podcasts. Podcasts have been around a while now, and they're becoming more and more easy for the average user to develop and to advertise. So I don't think they're going away. I love to listen to them in my car, but Periscope seems to offer a lot that podcasting does not. Anyway, so that's just hearsay, I guess. I really do want to start offering more communication, more educational tools for everybody. I hope you guys liked my free ebook on digital radiography image critique. That's kind of one of those things that it was a project I wanted to do for a while. And I really wrote it for kind of the technologist who maybe has been out of school for a long time, who really hasn't had much education in digital imaging. I still see, I make rounds at hospitals, though I'm not a practicing tech right now, except maybe a couple days a month where I get called into a particular side job. But I still see a lot of people who just haven't mastered that technology. And there's a lot of excuses like, I don't want to pay for a course in that. I don't want to, put the time and effort in. And it's really sad. These are the older generation who trained me as a student, who really instilled some very positive values and technological skill that I'm just kind of worried I don't know if they're just starting to want to punch a clock and go home. I see a lot of complacency. And it's one thing that this past week I sat at an advisory board council. And it is one thing that, it's close to my heart, because once you know the tools available at your disposal to make good radiographs, to lower radiation dose, you can really improve your imaging, by tenfold compared to some of the film screen methods that we were limited to in the past. So, I would just hope that people would share that as a resource. I didn't want to offer it as a paid thing. I think there's a lot more information that's probably missing from that, but I wanted it to be an easy user guide. That being said, I am going to be basing one of my upcoming CE courses on digital radiography image critique, as well as practical tips in digital imaging. A lot of people still ask me questions about KV range. What's the appropriate KV range to use with digital? And if you like, I could talk about that a little bit. I find you can get away with a little bit higher KVP with digital radiography. On film screen, we learned the primary controller of contrast was KVP, but for digital, typically it's processing algorithm. It still affects contrast, KVP does, but you can basically kind of improve part penetration and overall beam uniformity by increasing KV, which will also lower dose, while the processing algorithm still controls the primary scale of contrast. So a good example of a technical factor manipulation I use is for either cross table spines or just a lateral C-spine. I used to use 75 kV on film screen. Now I would use something like 90 kVp. You can cut the dose down to probably a quarter as far as mass is concerned. You still get a similar scale of contrast, and you're also seeing T1, T2 usually at a 90 kVp exposure. You can still, you still have to employ methods like lowering the shoulders and maybe even putting a little pressure on the top of the shoulders before you shoot the exposure, but I find that you can get just as good of image at lower dose with that higher KV, and that's just one example of things that you can do with digital. I also get questions about what kind of grid should I use, or should I even be using a grid? And I think that there's a lot of maybe misinformation going around out there regarding what information's coming from the manufacturers. I believe grids should still be used, especially for chess. You can still use a really high kV, 110, 120, at a very reasonable, low mass value. You get, again, uniform part penetration with that higher kVp, and you can still get the same scale of contrast or even higher contrast as a result. So, all these things are little tips and tricks that I plan to go into great detail in for some upcoming courses for CE credits. I'm going to be offering these all as in-person credit courses first for my local community, and then I will most likely be either recording those or creating all separate online courses. What I'd like to know from my viewers is what format interests you most? Would it be like an online course with follow-up questions? You can even now publish podcast CE courses, which I think would be pretty easy to do. So I'm open to formats. I really, the only bad thing about podcasting is you can't really associate pictures unless you have a video podcast, but that's certainly possible. So, that being said, going forward, I have started kind of a side consulting business. I've been asked to participate on a lot of digital radiography equipment installs and basically education for staff. So that's kind of one area that I've been doing just a couple times now, but holding staff training and setting up protocols and things like that. I think there's going to be a big market for that in the future. If you really know your skills, if you've been a super user for a while and have a true understanding of digital radiography, or if you've even done PACS administration, I think that's a great opening career path for anyone that has that kind of background. And I think it's widely needed. We just installed a new Konica CR system at the college I teach for, Mesa College in San Diego. And I'm going to be doing some screencasting stuff from that. There's some great tools on there that are available that aren't necessarily on every system, but at least they've given me access to install my screencast software, and I can make some videos regarding that. Anyway, so I don't necessarily know if any of you have any questions at this point. I just kind of wanted to come on here real quick and test Periscope. I'd like to come maybe weekly at least and start broadcasting. If somebody, I'll probably try to post this on YouTube as well. Just a quick introduction to my Periscope cast. If you want to ask questions, I can come next week prepared with answers. Otherwise, I'll probably just have a predetermined topic I'll speak about. Today's mainly, a test. I didn't really announce anywhere that I was going to publish this or get online today. And it's Saturday. Everybody's out having fun. It's a beautiful day out in San Diego, so no big deal thank you for the 2 people that are watching right now, but no big deal if we can't get anybody else on. I'm hoping to get, everybody's preferred time maybe, or get some feedback on Facebook or Twitter as far as what would be a good time for me to broadcast. And that way, I think Periscope limits it to a 24-hour hold on any previous broadcasts. After that, they go away. So I will be posting this on my YouTube channel for Topics in Radiography. So anyway, thanks again for tuning in for a brief cast here. And I look forward to seeing you guys next week. Take care.